How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Z Garage. And it has been, I think, over a month now when this video comes out for you guys, where I didn't have any videos. Between the last time you saw me driving the Z around and now, I've driven it a couple more times. Nothing crazy, just driving and having fun. And it's done really, really good. I had a small coolant leak that was just a hose clamp that wasn't tight enough. I think it kind of loosened up after the first full heat cycle. But overall, I am super, super happy with the build, super happy with the reliability. It was actually crazy to me. I just want to mention this because I thought it was really cool. But I drove it for about half an hour at highway-ish speeds. We're gonna say around varying between 45 and 65, 70 miles an hour. And by the time I got home, I went to check the coolant again, and I touched the bottom of the radiator, and it was still cool. This thing is so efficient at cooling at the moment that the thermostat is almost always closed, and it's really not heat cycling all of the coolant through. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, it was warm. It wasn't cool, but I thought that was really interesting, so I'm super happy. It means this thing can take a beating. It has plenty of cooling capacity, so I'm super, super excited about that. No other leaks that I've found thus far, so fingers crossed that's doing good. Now, I was going to go ahead and try to finish this up, but I think I'll actually want to move on to something else first because we are getting into the fall months, which means the temperatures are dropping, and I want to go ahead and get the cosmetics of this car done sooner than later because I don't want it to be too cold to paint. If you watched my video where I was driving this around, I told you guys we started wrapping it. That was mainly because of time constraints for Branson Z-Fest, but I just don't like the way that the wrap came out, if I'm being honest. It looks good from afar, for sure, and it's 100% better than what it was. You might be able to see that it's mismatched panels kind of as it is, but it just doesn't have the same look that paint does. And that has really been bumming me out, especially along all the little creases and everything, and where the wrap's coming up, because I'm not a professional wrapper either. So I want to go ahead and paint it, and it took me such a long time to figure out what direction I wanted to actually go down, because I was I've spent the last 8-ish years, I can't remember how long I've had this car, working on it. Spent however many thousands of dollars on this. We've spent all of this time on YouTube building this car, and I was I don't want it to be bad. I want it to be really good. I want it to be almost an example of what everything that I hope it could be. But it's really expensive, and I am an amateur when it comes to pretty much anything that I do on this channel. I know you guys think that I have a lot of experience, but this is it. This is my experience right here. Every video you've seen is me learning. So when it came down to it, I realized that this car has just always been what I learned on. It's going to be my first paint job. It's my first, turbo swap. It's my first manual transmission swap, and third and fourth manual transmission swap, if you've been following all of that. But overall, I don't think this car actually deserves to have a professional paint job. And the secondary reason for that is because it's actually not really in that great of condition. The frame rails are pretty chewed up. These fenders, I'm pretty sure this fender is stock to the car, but it's dented up pretty bad. I'm pretty sure that one's been replaced. The quarter panel on that side, I'll show you guys this in a bit. It's been replaced. I can 100% tell. I pulled off some of the trim on the inside. I can see the welds now on the inside. So that quarter panel, tons and tons of Bondo in it, because I don't know who replaced it, but they didn't do a good job. This quarter panel is original as far as I can tell, but it has tons of Bondo as well. So this whole car is just not really in that great of condition. And I know it kind of sucks because we've spent so much time on the drivetrain of this to really make it a good car. But honestly, I'm more along the lines of maybe 5 years down the road, once I'm done driving this as just, a beater almost, take all the good parts and put it onto an actual clean car. There's still so many Z31s you can find. Maybe the paint's bad on them still, but they have good chassis, especially here around New Mexico. You can always find a good Z31. So I'm not too worried about that. We're just gonna go ahead and do a decent enough. I was gonna say good, but it's my first paint job, so that's subjective. We're gonna do a good paint job on this, not a great paint job. Instead of spending over $1,000 on all the paint supplies for this, and then probably having to redo a couple things, I've dropped it down. We're actually almost around $300 for paint supplies, about $150 for color, about $150 for the clear. And then I think I spent like 60 bucks on primer, just some couple rattle cans of it. We'll go ahead and do the main areas that need it. I'll probably end up buying more primer for the front end, but that's down the road, excuse me. Because what we're going to go ahead and do is we're actually going to paint the back half of the car first. The reason I want to do that is because that's all one big piece, obviously. So if we go ahead and turn this space into a paint booth, we can get all of that done while the weather is warmer, while it's easier to do. And then down the road, if it gets colder, I can go ahead and make smaller paint booths just for like one fender at a time, or just both side skirts, both fenders, the front bumper, the rear bumper. I haven't showed you guys yet, but I did get the Yoshida rear bumper in. We're gonna go ahead and make some modifications to it because I want it to be a nice flat bumper. So that'll be really cool. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, the goal is in the next 2 to 3 weeks to get this completely ready for paint, the back end of it, and then paint it. So obviously I'm going to be bringing you guys along, and I'm sorry if this was super long-winded, but it has literally been weeks, if not over a month, of me wondering how exactly am I going to do this, and so I finally settled on something, so we're moving forward on it. So I appreciate you guys watching, appreciate you guys listening. Let's go ahead and jump into the car. I'm gonna go ahead and show you what I've done already, and then why I don't think it deserves a really, really good paint job. I'll show you all the issues with it. And then you'll just follow me as I keep making progress on all the paint prep. So let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, guys, so here we are at the back of the car, and let's go over all of the kind of damage first, just to see kind of what it was looking like. This guy right here, obviously, you can see there's a spot that I went ahead and, sorry, I know this is kind of bright. You can see that I redid that earlier. This is when we were going to go ahead and vinyl wrap it. I just wanted to kind of get some, you know, smoothness in here because there was actually just like a really big chip out of the body filler that was in this area. So I went ahead and started sanding it down, and I swear I probably went at least a 1/4 inch deep, and it was just still Bondo. So I don't know what happened here, but it was pretty rough. So I went ahead and filled it back in with fiberglass and put that back on there. Pretty smooth now. We even did a little bit of work on the doors. Obviously they're covered in vinyl wrap now, so you can't see, but where we pulled off that trim strip, these trim strips that go along the door, we went ahead and filled that in, sanded down to make it nice and smooth again, just because there were a few areas where we actually sanded down to get the adhesive off. So this quarter panel, it's actually not too bad. There's just a lot of Bondo kind of everywhere. I don't know what happened to it, but all the lines are clean at least, so I can't be too upset. I think the rest of this is pretty straightforward. There is a little bit of, you can see, well, maybe it won't focus, but a little bit of rust starting to happen along some of the corners of this. So we're going to be removing this anyways for paint. We'll go ahead and take care of that at that point. All of this is surface rust. Literally none of it is structural. So that is the one good thing about living in New Mexico. There's other good things, but that's like the best one. Coming over to this side, it was much, much worse. And you can kind of see, you might be able to see some of the work we've done. So right here we filled it in. There were some dings kind of all over here, down here. This right up here was the worst part because this is where they cut the quarter panel to replace it, or at least one of the locations. So this whole thing right here was super cracked. I don't know how thick that they actually made this, but you can hear that's not metal. That's just all Bondo, you know, metal, kind of metal, Bondo. So we went ahead and filled this back in, sanded it down, so it is at least straight again. But coming back around this way, you can see right here, there's tons of cracking and chipping. And then the inside of this channel, see if I can swing around here for you guys. Just look at how gross that is. This thing is just all cracked up. Whatever paint they put on here, whatever filler they put on here is just cracked over the years. I'm not gonna say they did a bad job, even though there's tons of filler everywhere. It at least looks straight, you know, so what can you really complain about? This taillight never really fit as well as that taillight did, so I think that's obviously the reason why. I can't really do anything about that, so we're just gonna live and hope nobody looks too closely. But we're gonna go ahead and just basically clean up this entire edge right here. That's really the only work that needs to be done left on this side of the car. So we're gonna go ahead and pull the hatch next. I'll kind of take you guys through that, obviously. But we need to go ahead and pull off the little, I don't know, whatever you'd call those pass-through kind of, excuse me, pass-through pieces for, I think it's the third brake light, and I think that one's windshield wiper actually, or the windshield washer nozzle. So we'll get those taken care of, pulled that off. I'll show you guys however I do that. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Let me go ahead and show you guys how to remove the interior trim right here for doing these quarter panels. So obviously this is a 2+2 if you hadn't figured that out, if you hadn't noticed. So this might be a little bit different for a coupe versus the 2+2s, but I started with removing this trim piece right here. It goes kind of all the way up. It's up there. 2 screws, one right there, one right there. They're plastic on the outside, and you can pull it off. There's a little clip right here that holds on to it. And then I went ahead and removed the T-top trim up there, just to make sure that we had enough room. And then, I don't know if you guys can see this super well. Right there is a clip, right there, and then up there is a clip. So just kind of get a pry bar or something in right here and pop straight out, and you'll be able to get these 2. And then, see if you guys can see the clips. There's one right there, and one right there. I don't know if they're all supposed to be the same color. That one might have been replaced. But those are all along the bottom here. So remove the speaker grill because it'll get in your way. And then just kind of move your way around the bottom lip of the interior piece there and just pop it straight out, and it should be fine. And then there is one more clip on the top right up there, that blue one, if you can see it. So once you get the 3 bottom ones out, then you should be able to kind of pull it outwards a little bit and then reach your hand up and pull straight out, because there are a couple clips that look like this on the top. So you can't pull them down, they need to go outwards. They clip onto the sheet metal up there. So it's pretty straightforward. 2 clips in the front, 3 clips in the bottom, pop those, pop all these, and then pop the one on top, and it should slide up and out. It is, at least on the 2+2s, constrained by the seat belt, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that there for now. No need for me to undo my seat belt. But it is honestly pretty straightforward. There is a tiny difference on the passenger side, at least for me. The driver's side. I have this one right here, 1, 2, and then 3. These were actual screws. Those guys down there are actual screws that were holding it in, but the same clip pattern nonetheless. So pretty straightforward. That goes ahead and gives us access to, see if I can get you guys up in here. Right there is a nut, and then there should be one up in the front as well. And supposedly there is a clip on the back here as well that looks just like those guys. Alright guys, I apologize, my battery in my microphone actually died, so I lost the rest of that footage. So I actually, you can see I have the triangles out here. What I was saying is that sometimes there's a clip, or supposedly there's a clip right here, which as you can see doesn't exist on my car. So I think Turbocharged Creations is an 85, so it might be the 84s and 85s had a clip right here. But mine doesn't have it. Both sides are like that. You can see on the actual window itself, it does have a spot for the clip to go in, but I just don't physically have a clip either in the window, and there's not even a hole right here. There is the interior kind of access hole that he shows in his video, but we don't have that. So very interesting. Regardless, this side here came off really easily. I'm pretty sure this one's never been taken off before. This is the one that's original to the car. You can see how this stuff just pretty much crumbled right off. This thing was really, really rough. I still did have to heat it up pretty well, so I took my heat gun, hottest setting, fastest, wind speed, and went at this for good few, I want to say like 5 or 6 minutes. And then I kind of pressed on it to see if it was, compliant enough. And then I went ahead and kept doing it a little bit more, another few minutes. So in all, each side takes, probably a little less than 10 minutes of just going around heating up the outside border. You can see where the seal is here. You don't have to go and heat up all this out here. There's no seal back there. So just this inside trim right here, looking pretty good. If you remember, I was kind of pointing out this rust. You can see there's nothing here. It's literally just surface. So we'll go ahead and sand all this up. WD-40 is supposed to work really well on this goo, so we'll go ahead and try some of that. Vacuum all this up as well. And then sand all these just so that we're down to nice, clean, fresh paint. Maybe put a layer of primer around here just because we are going to have to be resealing these. So we'll go ahead and do all that. Let's go ahead and jump to the other side actually real quick, because this is the side with the quarter panel that's been replaced, and this side is significantly worse, that you can actually see
it's a little bit difficult to tell. This is one of the places where they patched the outer quarter panel to the inner quarter panel. So this all right here, it has, you know, some sort of seam sealer that they put on. You can see right, see if I can get you, right there is a spot weld. Right there is a spot weld. So they put some welds all along the interior of here. This black, I don't know if that's like a primer or if that was the original quarter panel color was black and then they went ahead and tried to repaint it white. So kind of unsure, but this side is definitely going to take a little bit more effort. If we come over here actually, which is really interesting, this is just a bunch of Bondo underneath the actual window itself. So I don't know why they built up Bondo right here, but then didn't put it right here. It really doesn't make any sense, but that is a good 1 millimeter to 1.5 millimeters of just random Bondo. So we're gonna sand all this down again, get it back to the metal, and then go ahead and prime over that once it's nice and straight. So very interesting, but yeah, you can see the side doesn't have the hole for the pin either. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean all these up. We'll go ahead and work on getting this whole back side cleaned up here. Gotta remove the hatch. That might be a 2-person job, so we'll see if I can do that by myself. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and keep working, and I'll let you guys know how it goes. All right, guys, so in the meantime, while I'm waiting to clean up these glass pieces here, I went ahead and started removing the rear hatch. So you can see I got that grommet out, and basically the one on this side, see if I can get a good view for you guys. It runs from that hole right there up along this pillar, and it's just kind of held in with like metal tabs up to those connectors up under the headliner there. So just disconnect them up there. There's 2. Disconnect those and then just kind of feed them through. And then the grommet pulls right through. Should be pretty simple. This other side here, so I think that one is the 3rd brake light. And then this one is the defrost and the windshield washer. If you have that sprayer up there, that's what this one's going through. And you can see I pulled this one out. This one's a little bit more difficult. Basically, it runs the same way through a little hole right there and then up along. Right there, that screw you can see, that was a ground, this little ground loop right here. So that one's pretty straightforward, just undo that, pull it out. And then the hose for the washer and the defrost power come down along this pillar here. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get a great view for you, so I'm see if I can set this light up. All right, it's kind of hard to see, but here we are on the inside of the B pillar, and you can disconnect the hose right here. At least mine had a disconnect right here. We have clear tubing underneath it and then black tubing going into the hatch itself. So this is a disconnect, and then the power wire itself actually ran down through here. And what I ended up doing was disconnecting this panel right here, so a Phillips head here, and what should be a Phillips head here, mine was missing. And then you actually have to pop out, there's a clip right here, you can see it, pop that guy out, and then this whole piece will at least lean forward a little bit. And then down in there, I just followed the wire. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see it, but I couldn't actually find any connector for it. So I actually went ahead and just cut it, and I will connectorize it so I can go ahead and disconnect it in the future if I need. I did try to actually pull this guy off the hatch itself, which I actually broke the defrost, so it's going to need to be resoldered or something back onto the hatch. Not that this defrost worked perfectly in the first place. There were a couple lines that it didn't actually heat up, but it still worked, and now it definitely will not. So we're going to have to go ahead and fix that, or do something to make that work again in the future. But this is actually just the wrong approach in general, because if we come around here, and I apologize for these difficult views, right up there where it goes in is actually a little kind of ring donut, and that's just way too small for that whole connector to go through, so I should just not have even tried, but we're gonna have to go ahead and fix that in the future. So now we got that out, we can go ahead and remove these struts for the hatch. I replaced these, so I don't know if yours are gonna look the exact same, but mine actually have these nice clips on them. You just pull back that metal band on it, and then it actually will just disconnect. And then we just have the what look like 12 or 14 millimeter bolts, or nuts, I guess, up there, if you can see them. 2 on either side. Should be straightforward enough. I'm assuming this hatch is going to be a little bit heavy because it is just a big piece of glass and metal. So I'm gonna see if I can do it by myself, and if not, I will have to go ahead and get somebody to help me. But yeah, so this is the next step, removing this hatch, so we can go ahead and start accessing the paint, where we need to go ahead and sand it down pretty much everywhere. everything here is pretty rough. So let's go ahead and pull the hatch off. I may or may not show me cleaning up these quarter windows. I can't remember if I said I was going to or not, but WD-40, I need to go ahead and get some because I don't have any on hand. So we're gonna get some WD-40, see if we can clean these guys up. And that should be pretty much it for things that we need to remove. Nothing is too crazy here. Just a lot of interior disassembly, and you know, it should actually be pretty good. So I'm gonna work on this and then we'll pick up after I'm done. All right, guys, so as you can see, I got the hatch off, and yep, we definitely needed a bit of paint work up in here. Look at that nice glob of goo. Just wonderful. Glad we got this off. Basically, once I took these struts off, I then supported it with just that long paper tube at the very end of it. And basically, once it's done like that, then all the weight is kind of pushed forward onto the hinges. So you can actually remove the nuts on either side because the hatch is pushed into the car, so it's just resting on the hinge itself instead of the actual hardware. So you remove those, and then I removed the big tube, and basically I kind of lowered it down so the end of the hatch was on my knee because basically you still have the little stuff coming through either side. You can't close it all the way. I guess you could put that in the car. Either way, or no, because it has to go on the outside of the seal. So basically you can't put it anywhere. So I rested on my knee and then just grabbed each side of the hatch and lifted it up from there. And it is heavy, but it's not like heavy enough that I couldn't really do much with it. So you can see I brought it over here and it's just leaning up against the side. The top edge of this definitely needs some work. So good thing we took this off. It looks like these little nubs here are for holding the trim pieces on the chrome trim. I don't know if we'd be able to get new pieces of those, so I might just leave the chrome trim on and kind of paint around this. Basically, the only paint that we really needed was under the wing here. That's easily removed, so I'll go ahead and remove that and paint at least this back piece here, which goes from right there, and it's just a strip across the back. So we might do a little bit more work up here just because we don't want any of this to really rust. This is actually probably the worst rust that I've seen on the car, which is, I mean, it's good for the car, but you know, obviously this is an interesting thing to see. I guess it just gets a lot of sun since it's on the top of the car like that. So very interesting. We've got this all cleaned up now. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this weather strip, and then we're gonna go ahead and start cleaning this up because there's a lot of work that's needed, and I'm excited to see what kind of body filler we have over in that corner over there, and just get us back down to a regular metal shell so that we can start building it back up. All right, guys, as you can see, we've made some pretty good progress. Basically, I went ahead and cleaned up all of these windows with WD-40. That did work really well. I used a scraper blade, and I knew I was going to be repainting, so obviously I didn't mind scratching. But if you weren't going to be repainting, if you're just looking to reseal your quarter windows, I would suggest using plastic. A plastic scraper, a plastic blade, maybe a plastic knife. Just don't press too hard. I wouldn't want you to scratch your paint. But I went ahead and cleaned up all these. This one, whoever replaced this cord panel, whatever they did, it pretty much fell right off. The other side, I'm pretty sure, was the OEM butyl, and that side was a lot more sticky than this one was. So I don't know, you might have varied success or difficulties doing that. And obviously we got to clean up the actual windows themselves, but we're just talking about the body for now. So this is looking really good. As you can see, I started sanding this specific area here. I just kind of wanted to see what we were working with. And as you can see, we have quite a colorful spectrum of body fillers. We've got gray, or sorry, tan, and then like a light pink, a dark pink. The red is me, you can kind of ignore that. And then I think this is metal and then primer on top of it. It's kind of difficult to tell. I'm pretty sure that there's a layer of primer, but it's really hard to see. So we have tons and tons of body filler in this area right here, which I was kind of expecting. I wasn't really expecting it to go this high, which is actually weird. So I'm gonna keep sanding all the way up. But basically my next step is to sand this whole car. I do kind of want to paint the door jambs and the doors. They're dirty. As you can see, they have just like stuff on them. So I might go ahead and mask off the interior of the door here because I don't think it's too bad. I think we can clean that up pretty easily. But I might go ahead and you can see like you know, there's just kind of gunk and garbage and stuff down along here. So we're gonna go ahead and have to, you can see where they, you know, welded in the new quarter panel. I think we're gonna go ahead and paint the interior door jambs. I don't know if we'll necessarily paint the interior of the door, but we will paint the exterior of the door. I started working on removing the vinyl on that side. This side still needs to be done. I have to remove the door cards in order to remove the mirrors. So this side hasn't been done yet, and I do have vinyl under the mirrors, what I'm meaning. So that's kind of next steps. So I'm gonna go ahead and be sanding this whole car. So I think that's where we're gonna end this episode because I just have a lot of grunt work to do. So I am excited with how this is coming along. I didn't think I would enjoy bodywork quite as much. I mean, sanding. I've enjoyed sanding and seeing the different types of body filler. And I've actually enjoyed putting in this stuff too. This was actually a lot of fun. So trying to look on the bright side of things because we are getting closer to winter. We just had a cold snap here in New Mexico. So it got pretty cold. The garage here got cool. I won't lie, it got cool enough for me to be like, oh, we need to like really push on the gas. But also I think we're gonna be able to kind of box this area in with the sheets when we go to paint. I've got some heaters that we can go ahead and heat this area up with. So I think we're actually gonna be okay once the time comes to paint. I think we'll be able to keep the materials warm. I think we'll be able to keep the car warm, warm enough. So we are kind of working against a deadline, but I think we're going to be okay within the next month. So hopefully what you guys are going to see here in the next month is this video come out, and then either a week or 2 weeks after this video, the next video comes out, and the next video we're going to be finishing all of this up, and by the end of that video, hopefully we have a car that is completely sanded, completely filled any body fill that we need, and then primered and then seal primered over that, just to make sure that we have everything looking really good. And then once that video comes out, very soon after, either that same weekend or maybe the week after, just depending on how I kind of edit things and how I get them out onto the internet, you should see a live stream. I kind of want to do a live stream of me painting this. I won't be able to really interact with you guys, and it'll be kind of boring. It'll probably be like an hour or two of, you know, just straight painting, and then kind of a lot of waiting. You'll see me filtering in and out just to check on things. But hopefully that is after. I will go ahead and obviously film an actual video for the painting process. Not that I'm an expert, I just want to show you what I'm doing. So fingers crossed all that happens in the next month here, and we're able to get a decent enough paint job. This is not going to be a great paint job. I'm trying to set my expectations really low so that I can overshoot them and be happy. But I think we're going to be okay. I think it's going to be fine. I've just got a ton of work in front of me. As you can see, this whole back hatch area needs tons of love, and I'm not really excited to have to tape off the inside of this car. I've got to go ahead and do something with the trim. See if I can scoot around here real quick. I've got to do something with this trim up here. I don't know if I've showed you guys this already, but right here, this is a gap, and it's like this on both sides. I don't know why this trim kind of comes out a little bit. There's a gap in here, but then it comes up right up against the car here, and that's going to make it really difficult to paint a nice clean line. And I'm really worried that if I tried to remove this piece, that I would probably end up breaking the clips behind it. So we will work on that probably next episode, because we're going to go ahead and sand down this whole area and primer it as well. So I will let you guys obviously know what I do, but I'm not looking forward to it because it's going to be tough. I really don't want to break this. I don't want to bend the chrome, but I do want to get a decent enough paint job around this A-pillar right here. So fingers crossed that we can figure something out. Write any suggestions you have down in the comments. Maybe I'll see it in time, because this should be airing next weekend for me, which means that you guys should see it in time for me to still be working on that car, or on that process of this car. So I don't know. I've been saying a lot of words. I'm ready to stop rambling. Appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to my rambling. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, drop them down below. Even if I don't have the chance to see your suggestion before I do something, it's going to help other people. If you have a really good suggestion, I'll even pin it on my video so you can be kind of like a shining beacon almost. So as I was saying, guys, appreciate it. Hopefully you guys are just as excited for this as I am. I cannot wait to drive this thing around. I am just so sick and tired of it sitting in my garage. I'm so sick and tired of it just sitting here and not doing anything. I want to drive it and I want it to look semi-decent. So fingers crossed all that happens in the next month or so. And I am really, really looking forward to at least getting a few new skills under my belt, even if they're not quite as honed or perfected as they ought to be. I'm excited. So as I was saying, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next week.